Jake Martinez wiped the grease from his hands with an old rag. The sun was setting over the frontier colony of New Horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. His small repair shop sat on the edge of town, where the neat buildings gave way to wild, untamed land. He had spent another long day fixing broken equipment for the colonists. Farming machines, water pumps, communication devices. If it was broken, people brought it to Jake. He was good with his hands and had a way of making old things work like new again. Jake was about to lock up for the night when he heard a strange sound outside. It was soft, like someone trying not to make noise but failing. He set down his tools and walked to the front door of his shop. The sound came again. A small whimper, almost like an animal in pain. Jake opened the door and stepped outside. The air was cool now that the sun was going down. He looked around but saw nothing unusual. His shop stood alone here with the nearest neighbor half a mile away. Then he saw her. A figure lay crumpled beside his workshop, hidden in the shadows of the building. Jake's heart jumped. Someone was hurt. He rushed over and knelt down. In the dim light, he could see it was a woman, but something was different about her. Her skin had a strange blue-silver color that seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. She was tall, even lying down, and very thin. Too thin. "Hey," Jake said softly, reaching out to check if she was breathing. "Are you okay?" The woman stirred at his touch. Her eyes opened slowly and Jake gasped. They were large and completely silver, like mirrors reflecting the last light of day. She looked at him with confusion and fear. "Please," she whispered in accented English. "Don't hurt me." "I'm not going to hurt you," Jake said quickly. "Are you injured?" "What happened?" The woman tried to sit up but swayed dangerously. Jake caught her shoulders to steady her. She felt cold and he could see she was shaking. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to. I was just so tired. I saw the light from your building and thought maybe—" "It's okay," Jake said. "Let me help you inside." He helped her stand, surprised by how tall she was. Even weak and stumbling, she was almost as tall as him. Her strange silver-blue skin was covered by a simple gray dress that had seen better days. Inside his shop, Jake guided her to an old chair. Under the bright lights, he could see her more clearly. She was definitely not human, but she was beautiful in a way that took his breath away. Her features were sharp and elegant, and her silver hair fell in waves to her shoulders. "What's your name?" Jake asked, grabbing a bottle of water from his small refrigerator. "Zara," she said, accepting the water gratefully. She drank it slowly as if she hadn't had water in days. "I'm Jake. When did you last eat something, Zara?" She looked away, embarrassed. 2 days ago. Maybe 3. "I lost track," Jake stared at her. 3 days? No wonder you collapsed. He moved to his small kitchen area in the back of the shop. "I don't have much, but I can make you something." "You don't have to," Zara said quickly. "I don't want to be trouble." "No trouble," Jake said, already pulling ingredients from his small pantry. Everyone needs food. As he cooked, Jake tried to process what was happening. An alien woman had collapsed outside his shop. She was starving and alone, far from any city or transport hub. How had she gotten here? Why was she here? "Are you from one of the other colonies?" he asked as he stirred soup in a pot. "No," Zara said softly. "I'm from very far away." Jake brought her a bowl of hot soup and sat down across from her. She ate slowly but hungrily, and he could see some color returning to her pale cheeks. "What are you doing way out here?" Jake asked gently. Zara paused with the spoon halfway to her mouth. "I was looking for something. Someone, actually. Who?" "I don't know," she said, and Jake could hear sadness in her voice. "I just know I had to keep looking." Jake didn't understand, but he could see that talking about it upset her. "Well, you found me. That's something, right?" Zara looked at him with those strange silver eyes. "Yes," she said quietly. "I found you." After she finished eating, Jake showed her to the small apartment above his shop where he lived. It wasn't much, just a bedroom, bathroom, and tiny living area, but it was clean and warm. "You can sleep on the couch tonight," he said. "Tomorrow we'll figure out what to do next." "Why are you helping me?" Zara asked suddenly. "You don't know me. I could be dangerous." Jake looked at her thin frame and exhausted face. "You don't look very dangerous to me, and besides, it's the right thing to do." "The right thing? Where I come from, we help people who need help. It's that simple." Zara stared at him as if he had said something amazing. "Your people do this? Help strangers?" "Most of us try to," Jake said. Don't your people do the same? No, Zara said softly. We don't. Jake brought her blankets and a pillow. As he was about to leave her to rest, she spoke again. Jake? Yeah, thank you. I haven't met kindness like this in a long time. Get some sleep, Jake said. Things will look better in the morning. But as Jake lay in his own bed that night, he couldn't stop thinking about the strange woman downstairs. Where had she come from? Why was she searching for someone she couldn't identify? And why did she seem so surprised by simple human kindness? Outside his window, the stars of New Horizons' night sky sparkled like Zara's silver eyes. Jake had the strange feeling that his quiet life was about to change in ways he couldn't imagine. Jake woke up early the next morning and quietly made breakfast. He could hear Zara moving around upstairs, so he knew she was awake. When she came down to the shop, she looked much better. Her silver blue skin had more color, and her strange eyes seemed brighter. Good morning, Jake said, offering her a plate of eggs and bread. How did you sleep? Better than I have in weeks, Zara said, sitting down at his small table. Thank you again for your kindness. As they ate, Jake studied her more carefully. In the morning light, he could see details he had missed the night before. Her ears came to small points and her fingers were longer than human fingers. When she smiled, her teeth were very white and perfectly straight. Can I ask what kind of alien you are? Jake said. I mean, what's your species called? Villani, Zara said. We come from a world called Valara, many light years from here. That's really far, Jake said. How did you get to New Horizon? Zara looked uncomfortable. I worked my way here on trading ships. It took many months. Working your way here? You mean you were trying to get to this specific place? Not exactly, Zara said slowly. I was following something. A feeling, I guess you could call it. Jake set down his fork. A feeling? Zara was quiet for a long moment, as if deciding whether to trust him with something important. Finally, she spoke. My people are different from humans in many ways, she said. One of the biggest differences is how we find partners. Partners? Mates, husbands and wives, you would say. Zara's cheeks darkened to a deeper blue color. Humans can love many people in their lives, yes? You can marry, divorce, marry again. Some people do, Jake said. Not everyone, but yes, it's possible. Villani are not like that, Zara said. We live for about 300 of your years, but we can only mate once, ever. Jake nearly choked on his coffee. Once in 300 years? Yes. When we reach a certain age, our body goes through something called the calling. It lasts only a few weeks, and during that time we feel a very strong pull toward our true mate. Once we find them and bond with them, that's it. We're paired for life. What happens if you don't find your mate during the calling? Zara's expression grew sad. Then you spend the rest of your very long life alone. The calling only happens once. Jake stared at her, trying to understand. That sounds terrifying. It is, Zara said quietly. Especially when your calling begins and there's no one suitable nearby. Is that what happened to you? Zara nodded. My calling started 6 months ago. My family had already chosen a male from our community for me to bond with, but she shook her head. When I met him, I felt nothing. The calling was strong inside me, but it wasn't responding to him at all. So you left? I had to. My family said I was being foolish, that I should just accept their choice. They said the calling would work eventually if I tried hard enough. But I could feel it pulling me somewhere else, somewhere far away. Jake leaned back in his chair. And it led you here? It led me to many places, Zara said. I've been traveling for months following this feeling. It gets stronger or weaker depending on which direction I go. Last night when I collapsed outside your shop, it was the strongest it had ever been. They sat in silence for a while. Jake tried to imagine what it would be like to have only one chance at love in an entire lifetime. No second chances, no learning from mistakes, no growing and changing with different people. That's a lot of pressure, he said finally. Yes, Zara said, and if I don't complete the bond soon, the calling will fade and I'll lose my chance forever. How soon? A few weeks at most. Jake felt something heavy settle in his stomach. This beautiful, kind alien woman was facing the possibility of spending the next 2.5 centuries completely alone. What's it like? He asked. This calling feeling? Zara looked at him with surprise. No one has ever asked me that before. Your family didn't want to know? My family only cared that I find a suitable male from our community. They didn't care how the calling felt to me. Zara was quiet for a moment, then continued. It's like being pulled by an invisible rope. Sometimes it's gentle, sometimes it's so strong it hurts. It's always there, always telling me I need to keep moving, keep searching. And it brought you to New Horizon? To this exact spot, Zara said, looking around his small shop. I've never felt it this strong before. Jake felt a strange tingling in his chest. Maybe your mate is somewhere on this colony. Maybe, Zara said, but she sounded doubtful. There are no other Villani here, though. I would sense them. Does it have to be another Villani? Zara blinked at him. Of course. The calling only responds to our own species. Are you sure about that? Well, that's what everyone has always told me, Zara said slowly. I've never heard of it working any other way. Jake stood up and started clearing the breakfast dishes. Maybe your people just never tried anything different. What do you mean? Humans used to think a lot of things were impossible until someone proved them wrong, Jake said. Maybe the calling can work with other species, but no one ever tested it. Zara stared at him. That would change everything for my people. Would it be a good change or a bad change? I don't know, Zara said honestly. Different, definitely. My people don't like different very much. Jake finished washing the dishes and turned back to her. What do you like? I like that you helped a stranger without asking anything in return, Zara said. I like that you ask questions instead of just accepting what everyone else believes. I like that you make me feel safe. Their eyes met across the small kitchen, and Jake felt that strange tingling again. Stronger this time. Zara's silver eyes widened and she took a quick breath. Zara? Jake said, are you okay? Zara stood up suddenly, her hand pressed to her chest. I need some air. She hurried outside, leaving Jake confused and worried. Through the window, he watched her pace back and forth in front of his shop, one hand still pressed to her chest like she was trying to calm her heartbeat. Jake didn't understand what had just happened, but he had a feeling it was important. Very important. Jake waited a few minutes before following Zara outside. He found her sitting on an old crate behind his shop, staring at the mountains in the distance. Her breathing had calmed down, but she still looked shaken. Mind if I sit? Jake asked. Zara nodded, moving over to make room for him on the crate. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the morning sun climb higher in the sky. Want to talk about what happened in there? Jake asked gently. Zara sighed. The calling. It got very strong all of a sudden. Is that bad? I don't know, Zara said. It's never happened like that before. Usually it's just a steady pull, telling me which direction to go. But when you asked me what I liked, she shook her head. It felt like lightning in my chest. Jake felt that tingling sensation again. Maybe that means something. Maybe, Zara said quietly. Or maybe I'm just sick from traveling so long. Over the next few days, Zara stayed with Jake while she regained her strength. She helped him in his shop, and Jake was amazed by how quickly she learned to fix things. Her long fingers were perfect for reaching into tight spaces, and she had an understanding of how machines worked that impressed him. Where did you learn all this? Jake asked as she successfully repaired a broken water filter that had been giving him trouble for weeks. Villani are good with technology, Zara said. We have to be. Our world is not as easy to live on as this one. What's it like? Your home world? Zara's expression grew sad. Beautiful but harsh. The weather changes quickly and can be dangerous. We had to build cities that could protect us from storms and extreme temperatures. Everyone learns to fix and maintain things because if something breaks during a storm, you might not survive until help arrives. Do you miss it? I miss some things, Zara said. I miss the crystal gardens that grow near our cities. I miss the singing birds that come out at sunset. But I don't miss feeling like I had no choices. What do you mean? On Valara, your life is planned from the day you're born, Zara explained. Your job, your home, your mate, it's all decided by the community elders. You're supposed to accept these decisions and be grateful. That sounds awful, Jake said. I thought it was normal until I started traveling, Zara said. I met humans and other species who could choose their own paths. It was amazing and terrifying at the same time. As the days passed, Jake found himself looking forward to Zara's company more and more. She was curious about everything, asking questions about human culture that made him think about his own life in new ways. Why do humans help strangers? She asked one evening as they sat outside watching the sunset. What do you mean? You helped me when you had no reason to. You could have ignored me or turned me away, but you didn't. I've seen other humans do the same thing. Why? Jake thought about it. I guess because we know what it's like to need help. Most humans have been in tough situations where they needed someone to care. So when we see someone else in trouble, we remember how that felt. Villani don't think that way, Zara said. We help family and close friends, but strangers are seen as potential threats. That sounds lonely. It is, Zara said softly. I didn't realize how lonely until I met you. Their eyes met, and Jake felt that now familiar tingling spread through his chest. Zara's breath caught and she pressed her hand to her heart again. It's happening again, she whispered. The calling? Yes, but stronger. Jake, I think... She stopped and shook her head. No, it's impossible. What's impossible? Zara stood up and walked a few steps away from him. I think the calling is responding to you. Jake's heart started beating faster. To me, but I'm human, I know. That's why it's impossible. Zara turned back to face him. But every time we talk, every time you're kind to me, every time you make me laugh, it gets stronger. And when you look at me the way you're looking at me right now... She pressed both hands to her chest as if trying to hold something in. What does that mean? Jake asked, standing up too. I don't know, Zara said, and he could hear fear in her voice. This has never happened before. The calling is only supposed to work with other Villani. Maybe the universe has different plans, Jake said, stepping closer to her. If I'm right, if the calling really is responding to you, then accepting it would mean I could never go home, Zara said. My people would never accept a human mate. I would be exiled forever. And if you're wrong? If I'm wrong, then I'm going crazy and the real calling will fade soon, leaving me alone for the rest of my life. Jake reached out and gently took her hands. What does your heart tell you? Zara looked down at their joined hands. Her skin was cool and smooth, so different from his own, but somehow they fit together perfectly. My heart tells me that I've never felt as safe and happy as I do with you, she said quietly. My heart tells me that when you smile, something inside me lights up like a star. My heart tells me that the thought of leaving you makes me feel more scared than the thought of being exiled. Then maybe you should listen to your heart instead of what everyone else has told you. Zara looked up at him, her silver eyes bright with unshed tears. What if I choose wrong? What if you choose right, Jake said. What if we're supposed to prove that love doesn't have boundaries? What if we're supposed to show both our species something new? You make it sound so simple. Maybe it is simple, Jake said. Maybe we're the ones making it complicated. They stood there for a long moment, hands joined, looking into each other's eyes. Jake could feel something changing between them, something important and irreversible. Jake, Zara whispered. Yeah, I'm scared. Me too, he admitted. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you. Zara smiled through her tears. Is that another human saying? No, Jake said, smiling back. That's just me telling you the truth. As the last light of sunset faded from the sky, Jake realized that his quiet life as a simple mechanic was truly over. Whatever happened next, whatever challenges they would face, he knew he wanted to face them with Zara beside him. The stars came out one by one, and Jake thought they looked brighter than ever before. 2 weeks later, Jake woke up to find Zara pacing back and forth in his kitchen. She looked agitated, her silver skin paler than usual. Zara, what's wrong? It's getting stronger, she said without stopping her pacing. The calling. It's so strong now I can barely think about anything else. Jake sat up in his chair. Is that good or bad? I don't know. According to everything I was taught, this should mean my true mate is very close. But you're already here, so... She stopped pacing and looked at him with wild eyes. Jake, I think the calling is reaching its peak. If I don't make a choice soon, I'll lose my chance forever. What kind of choice? Whether to complete the bond or let it fade, Zara said. If I wait too long, my body will give up and shut down the calling permanently. How long do you have? Days, maybe a week at most. Jake felt panic rise in his chest. Okay, so we figure this out. We have time, do we? Zara asked. Jake, what if I'm wrong about this? What if the calling isn't really responding to you? What if I complete the bond and it doesn't work because you're human? Then we deal with that when it happens, Jake said. But what if you're right? What if this is exactly what's supposed to happen? Before Zara could answer, they heard vehicles approaching outside. Jake looked out the window and saw 3 official colony transport vehicles pulling up to his shop. That's not good, he muttered. The vehicles stopped, and several people in Colonial Authority uniforms got out. Jake recognized the lead officer, Captain Lewis, the head of Colonial Security. Behind him came several other officials Jake didn't know. Jake Martinez? Captain Lewis called out as Jake opened his door. Yes, sir? We need to talk to you about the unregistered alien you're harboring. Jake's heart sank. How did you find out? Someone reported seeing a non-human individual in this area, Captain Lewis said. All alien visitors are required to register with colonial authorities within 24 hours of arrival. Your friend is in violation of colonial law. Zara appeared beside Jake. I'm sorry, she said to the captain. I didn't know about the registration requirement. Captain Lewis looked at her with interest. Villani, right? We don't see many of your people out here. You know about the Villani? Zara asked, surprised. More than you might think, Captain Lewis said. In fact, we received a communication from Valara 3 days ago. Your family is looking for you. Zara's face went completely white. My family? They're quite worried. They sent a ship to collect you. It's already in orbit around our planet. Jake felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. A ship? The Villani delegation wants to meet with both of you, Captain Lewis continued. They'll be landing at the colonial capital in 2 hours. I don't want to see them, Zara said quietly. I'm afraid you don't have much choice, Captain Lewis said, though his voice was kind. As an unregistered alien, you're subject to immediate deportation unless you can show cause for asylum. What would count as cause for asylum? Jake asked. Captain Lewis looked uncomfortable. Evidence of persecution or threat to life on her homeworld. Running away from an arranged marriage doesn't usually qualify. After the officials left, Jake and Zara sat in stunned silence. They found me, Zara said finally. I should have known they would. What will they do when they see you? Try to convince me to come home, Zara said. They'll say I'm sick, that the calling has made me confused. They'll promise to fix me. Fix you how? There are treatments that can force the calling to respond to a chosen mate, Zara explained. They're very painful and don't always work. But my family would rather I suffer through that than accept that I might have chosen my own path. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. They can't force you to take treatments you don't want. They can if I'm declared mentally unfit, Zara said sadly. A Villani who rejects their chosen mate and runs away is often considered to be suffering from calling madness. 3 hours later, Jake and Zara sat in a meeting room at the colonial capital. Across from them sat 3 Villani adults, 2 males and 1 female. They were taller than Zara and had the same silver-blue skin, but their expressions were cold and stern. Zara, the female said in accented English, You have caused your family great worry. Hello, Mother, Zara said quietly. Jake looked between them, seeing no warmth in the reunion. This is the human? One of the males asked, studying Jake with obvious disapproval. Yes, Zara's mother said. Zara, we understand you have been confused by your calling, but it's time to come home. Coral is waiting for you. Coral is not my mate, Zara said firmly. The healers can help with that, the other male said. The treatments have improved since you left. I don't want treatments, Zara said. I want to make my own choice. Zara's mother turned to Jake. Human, you seem like a reasonable person. Surely you understand that my daughter is not thinking clearly. The calling has made her believe things that are not possible. Like what? Jake asked. Like the idea that she could bond with you, the first male said. It's biologically impossible. The calling only responds to Villani mates. What if you're wrong? Jake asked. The 3 Villani looked at him as if he had said something ridiculous. We are not wrong, Zara's mother said coldly. We are offering you 50,000 credits to reject our daughter and help us convince her to come home. Jake stared at them. You want to pay me to abandon her? We want to pay you to help her get the treatment she needs, Zara's mother said. Once she realizes that bonding with you is impossible, she'll accept Corel and live a normal life. What if she doesn't want a normal life? Jake asked. What Zara wants is irrelevant, the first male said. What matters is what's best for her and for our people. Jake looked at Zara, who sat with her head down, not speaking. Zara, he said gently. What do you want to do? She looked up at him with tears in her silver eyes. I want to stay with you, but if they're right, if the calling can't really bond us, then I'll be condemning myself to a lifetime of loneliness for nothing. And if they're wrong, then we could be starting something that changes everything for both our species. The room fell silent. Everyone was looking at Jake, waiting for his decision. He thought about the 50,000 credits. It was enough money to expand his shop, maybe even buy a bigger place in town. It was more money than he had ever seen. Then he looked at Zara's frightened face and knew there was really no choice at all. "Keep your money," Jake said to her family. "Zara makes her own decisions." Zara's mother's expression turned angry. "You are making a mistake, human. When this fails, when she realizes what she has lost, the pain will destroy her. That's her risk to take," Jake said. He stood up and offered Zara his hand. "Ready to find out what happens next?" Zara looked at his outstretched hand, then at her family's disappointed faces, then back at Jake. Slowly, she stood up and took his hand. "Ready," she said. The next morning, Jake and Zara sat on the porch of his shop watching the sunrise. Zara had been quiet since the meeting with her family, and Jake could see the stress in every line of her body. "Having second thoughts?" he asked gently. "Every few minutes," Zara admitted. "Jake, what if my family is right? What if I'm just sick and confused?" "Then we'll figure it out together," Jake said. "But I don't think you're sick. I think you're the sanest person I've ever met." Before Zara could respond, they heard vehicles approaching again. This time it was just Captain Lewis in a single transport. "More trouble?" Jake asked as the captain got out. "Actually, I think I have good news," Captain Lewis said. "The Villani delegation has agreed to let Zara attempt the bonding ritual with you." Zara sat up straight. "They agreed to that?" "Well, they agreed to prove that it won't work," Captain Lewis said. "They figure once you try and fail, you'll accept their treatment and go home quietly." "What exactly is this bonding ritual?" Jake asked. "It's simple," Zara explained. "We touch hands and open our minds to each other. If we're truly compatible, the calling will create a permanent connection between us. If we're not," she shrugged, "nothing happens, and if nothing happens, then I go home with my family and you get on with your life." Jake looked at her serious expression. "And if something does happen?" "Then everything changes." 2 hours later, they stood in the meeting room again. Zara's family was there, along with Captain Lewis and several other colonial officials. Everyone looked like they were attending a funeral. "Are you certain you want to do this?" Zara's mother asked one last time. "Once we prove the bonding is impossible, there can be no more arguments." "I'm certain," Zara said, though Jake could hear the tremor in her voice. "Very well," her mother said. "Proceed." Jake and Zara turned to face each other. She looked scared but determined. "Just so you know," Jake said quietly, "whatever happens, I'm glad we tried." "Me too," Zara whispered. They reached out and clasped hands. Jake felt the familiar tingling sensation, but stronger than ever before. Zara's eyes widened. "Open your mind," she said softly. "Don't fight what you feel." Jake relaxed and let himself feel everything he had been holding back. His growing love for Zara, his amazement at her courage, his desire to protect her and make her happy. He felt all of it flow through their joined hands. Zara gasped. "Jake, I can feel what you're feeling." "I can feel you too," Jake said, wonder in his voice. Through their connection, he could sense Zara's emotions, her fear, her hope, her deep loneliness, and underneath it all, a growing warmth that matched his own feelings. The tingling sensation grew stronger, spreading up their arms and through their entire bodies. Jake felt like electricity was dancing under his skin. "This is impossible," one of Zara's family members said, but his voice seemed to come from very far away. The connection between Jake and Zara deepened. He could see flashes of her memories, her beautiful but cold home world, her lonely childhood, her desperate flight across the galaxy. In return, he shared his own memories, growing up on Earth, coming to New Horizon to build a simple life. The moment he first saw her collapsed outside his shop. "Zara," Jake said, and his voice sounded strange even to himself. "I know," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I can feel it too." The calling, which had been a constant ache in Zara's chest for months, suddenly exploded into pure joy. Jake felt it too, a sense of completion so strong it nearly knocked him over. "The bond is forming," Zara whispered in amazement. "It's actually working." Light began to glow around their joined hands, soft silver light that pulsed in rhythm with their heartbeats. Everyone in the room stared in shock. "Impossible," Zara's mother breathed. The light grew brighter and Jake felt something fundamental shift inside him. He was still himself, but now he was also part of something larger. He could feel Zara's presence in his mind, warm and constant and perfect. Gradually, the light faded, but the connection remained. Jake and Zara looked at each other with new eyes. "How do you feel?" Jake asked. "Complete," Zara said simply. "For the first time in my life, I feel complete." The room erupted in chaos. Zara's family argued in their own language, while the colonial officials talked excitedly among themselves. Captain Lewis was speaking rapidly into his communication device. "What does this mean?" Jake asked Zara quietly. "It means we're bonded for life," Zara said, smiling through her tears. "It means I chose correctly. It means the calling can work with other species. And it means," said a new voice from the doorway, "that everything we thought we knew about Villani biology is wrong." Everyone turned to see an older Villani male entering the room. He was even taller than the others, and his silver hair was streaked with darker blue. Zara's family immediately bowed their heads respectfully. "Elder Thane," Zara's mother said. "We didn't expect you." "Clearly," Elder Thane said dryly. He walked over to Jake and Zara, studying their still glowing hands with fascination. "Remarkable. Absolutely remarkable." "Elder, this changes nothing," Zara's mother said. "The bonding may have worked, but Zara still cannot return to Valara with a human mate." "Perhaps," Elder Thane said. "Or perhaps it's time Valara changed." He turned to address the whole room. "Do you know how many young Villani have rejected their chosen mates in the last century? Do you know how many have spent their lives alone because the calling didn't respond to any of our people?" "That's different," one of Zara's family members protested. "They were defective, were they?" Elder Thane asked. "Or were they simply meant for mates from other worlds? How many have we lost to loneliness when they could have found happiness among the stars?" He looked at Jake and Zara again. "You two have proven that love truly has no boundaries. Your bond will be studied and celebrated. More importantly, it will give hope to others who thought they were doomed to solitude." "What does that mean for us?" Jake asked. "It means you are welcome on Valara if you choose to visit," Elder Thane said. "It means your bonding will be officially recognized by our government. And it means you have started something much bigger than yourselves." Over the following weeks, news of the successful human-Villani bonding spread throughout the galaxy. Jake and Zara received visitors from dozens of species, all curious about interspecies relationships. Scientists wanted to study their bond, while young people from various worlds wanted to know if they too could find love beyond their own species. "Did you ever think this would happen when you found me outside your shop?" Zara asked one evening as they sat watching the sunset. "Never," Jake admitted. "I just thought I was helping someone who needed help." "That's what I love about humans," Zara said, leaning against his shoulder. "You do the right thing without thinking about what you might get in return." "And that's what I love about you," Jake said. "You were brave enough to choose your own path, even when everyone told you it was impossible." 6 months later, they received word that 3 more Villani had successfully bonded with mates from other species. The rigid traditions of Valara were slowly beginning to change, influenced by the simple human idea that everyone deserves the right to choose their own destiny. Jake still ran his repair shop, though it had grown significantly. Zara had become his full partner, and together they had developed new technologies that combined human and Villani engineering. More importantly, they had become a symbol of hope for anyone who believed that love could conquer any obstacle. As they watched another sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors, Jake reflected on how much his life had changed. He had started as a simple mechanic on a frontier world, and somehow ended up proving that the universe was much more connected than anyone had imagined. "No regrets?" he asked Zara. "Only one," she said, smiling at him. "I regret that it took me so long to find you." Jake kissed her forehead and pulled her closer. In the distance, he could see ships landing and taking off from the colonial spaceport. Travelers from across the galaxy, many of them young people searching for their own impossible love stories. He and Zara had shown them it was possible. Sometimes the human way, choosing hope over fear, love over tradition, and freedom over safety, really could change everything.